Hello, my loves, and welcome to BS with Bethany Simko. This is your host, Bethany Simko. We are here with a very exciting guest today. We have Claire Inouye-Rasband with us.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm a little nervous. I've never done anything like this before, but we just had the craziest little setup. So I'm feeling a little bit better now.
We do have to laugh because it has taken us 45 minutes to get this podcast set up. So however it looks and sounds right now is the best it's gonna get. We literally have attached things in the most BS way possible. We'll show you a TikTok about it later. We filmed the whole thing, don't you worry, but we literally just bonded
Yes.
trying to set up this podcast. So another way we bonded is actually really funny. We dated the same guy. That's how we met.
Unfortunately.
We dated the same guy. No, so she dated him first. And tell us just a blurb about that.
Yeah, so I dated him in high school, and without names or certain details of things, we dated, and it was so funny because I know we're going to later talk about pageants, but I was just giving up my title as Miss Utah's Teen, came to my pageant, and it was just so great, and I was, oh my gosh, like so in love, that high school love.
We love.
And all of a sudden, I got mono out of nowhere, and he thought that I had cheated on him, but as I later found out, I got mono from my friend. We were sharing food when I was giving up my title at Miss Utah's Teen. And he told the whole school I cheated on him. He made this whole dramatic
Ridiculous.
thing, would not believe me or anything. And I said, well, it's not worth my time. So I just broke up with him because I was like, if you're not going to believe me, if you're not going to have that trust, like, this is not worth my time.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And here's the funny part is he cheated on me. That's why him and I broke up. I'm like, how are you going to, like, the call is coming from inside the house.
Yes.
It really is. He's like, oh, you're cheating on me. Who's cheating on who? Let's talk about it. Okay. So that's how we bonded. And then after I found out, I like texted her and I was like, hey, I know you two dated. I feel like we have some tea to spill. And we just bonded.
Yeah, we FaceTimed or we had called, and it was my freshman year of college. And I remember sitting in my dorm in the dark, and I think we were on a call for like 2 hours. And we have never met before until like maybe 3 weeks ago. Like in person, I've never met. Have always just followed each other on social media ever since.
I've just been your number one fan. Just forever and ever.
No, I've been your number one fan.
No, but literally our first time meeting was 3 weeks ago when she was helping me with pageant prep.
Yeah.
She comes over and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing you in person for the first time. This is crazy. It was
like
kind of
we've had this years of bonding experience.
Yes,
like,
it's been.
I think that was my junior year of high school, and
Yeah, I dated him when I was 18. That's like 5 years ago.
Wow,
Wild.
crazy,
Freaking wild.
how men just bring you together.
Luckily now she's found a good one. She's married.
Yes. My shout out to my husband Tanner. He's the best. He's a gem. Love him.
You guys are so cute. So speaking of you and your husband, you guys are moving to Hawaii in like 3-4 days.
Yes, I actually before this just came from cleaning up our apartment. We've got everything moved out and we leave on Thursday.
That's crazy. For context, we're filming this on Monday. So she took time out of her crazy busy schedule to give us the absolute scoop and the tea on all things pageants. Because
anything for you.
Listen, and you're going to enjoy the island so much. Like I cannot tell you how excited I am for you. I'm already planning my trips to come visit you just so I have an excuse to go back. It's the most amazing place in the world. But so she's going to law school at UH?
Yes.
Okay, very cool. And let me brag about her for a second. If you are a pageant girly, go follow Claire. What's your Instagram handle?
I believe it's at Claire _INO.
Okay,
Yes.
Perfect. So go follow her because she is incredible. Like scroll down, go look at all her pageant stuff. She was, as she said, Miss Utah's Teen. She was also Miss Orem. She has interned with the district attorney. Is that right?
The Utah Attorney General.
Attorney General. Okay. And just a general powerhouse. Now she's going to law school, which is incredible. So tell me a little bit about your pageant journey. What originally got you into that?
Wow, this might take the whole hour.
And I'm here for it. Lay it on me.
So, little backstory, I have all brothers, and my mom grew up kind of more of a tomboy.
Mhm.
And when I was really little, we used to go to the Summerfest Orem parades, and we would go watch those. My brothers did cheer and played like the Little League football. So they were always in the parades for Mountain View
Right.
High School. And I just remember seeing the Miss Orem girls and all of the pretty princesses on the floats. And I looked at my mom and I said, one day I'm going to be one of those girls on that float.
And that's on manifesting.
And that was just my dream. And my mom had no idea what I was getting her into. Because
so
this
she
was
wasn't
my
a pageant
idea.
girly before this at all.
My mom, growing up, actually had a really negative view of pageants.
Interesting.
And, her and her sister, my aunt, used to make fun of them and dress up as Miss Beaver and wear like buck teeth, beaver teeth. And
Wow.
So this was totally new for my mom. Like this was 100% my idea as like a 6-year-old. And so when I was 8 years old, I asked my mom to compete in my first pageant, and we were really poor growing up. And so my mom sewed my dress. I did my little talent. It was through the National American Miss organization. And I just had the best time. But I always
Really?
felt a little out of place because the girls there were like, my dress was $500. My dress was this. And,
Yeah.
and I was just so excited to be there and to make friends. But I did realize that, wow, if you want to do well in pageants, this is my idea as an 8-year-old. You need to like really go into it and like be prepared. And my mom and I had no idea what we were doing.
For sure.
And
I know what that's like, going to a pageant being like, what did I just get myself into? Hello.
And so that's me at 8 years old. And then fast forward to when I was 13, I want to say, my brother asked me to be his escort for Mr. Mountain View. Mountain View High School does a mock pageant thing for the guys. It's a little fundraiser for the school. And my brother, in order to win some brownie points, was like, oh my gosh, I'll have my little sister be my escort.
Perfect.
And I just ate that up. I love being on the stage. I grew up, I am a classically trained pianist, and I loved being able to get and rent a dress. And afterwards, the Miss Orem director, and I believe Miss Orem was judging it at the time as well, came up to me and said, have you ever thought about doing pageants?
How old were you at this time?
I was 13.
Okay.
And they said we'd do a Miss Orem's teen. And at the time it was outstanding teen. So if I ever say that, that's why.
Yeah.
That was the brand.
Yeah, that's a recent change.
Yes. Yeah, it's a little weird for me because I'm so used to being like MUOT and always adding like the O.
Miss Utah's outstanding.
I have to like pause sometimes.
Yeah.
And they asked me to come do it, and I just was like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting Miss Orem and I do believe Miss Provo was there as well.
Oh my
Madison
gosh.
Wilson, who I will talk about later. I love Maddie. She's the Miss Utah director.
Okay,
And
perfect.
I was like, oh my gosh, these women are so incredible. They're so nice to me. I'm just 13. And so I just thought about it, always had it in the back of my mind, always wanted to be that girl on the float. And it wasn't until I was in junior high when I was severely bullied. And I, attempted taking my life and a lot of self-harm during that time. And I was just really going through it. And I had no friends at school. People made hate pages about me on Instagram, and people would
What
just
kind of
message me
fan
things,
behavior is
or
going on?
when I was doing track and I was not a fast person. Yeah.
They're like, don't ask me to run.
Not good. And, guys would run past me and like say mean things as they're running past me.
That is insane.
And just so many awful things. And so I just wanted a space where I could feel like I could make friends,
Yeah.
and that maybe there were a few other girls like me. And so I finally decided that I wanted to sign up for the Miss Orem's Outstanding Teen Pageant. And it was such a life-changing experience being able to find other people who had similar stories,
Yes.
find other people who were passionate about things, who were excelling in their talents, and also find something bigger than myself.
Yeah.
And that was service. And I just fell in love with service. And that ultimately was what saved my life, was being able to serve other people and understanding that this world is all about giving to people and being able to help others who are feeling sad. And so that's a little bit how I kind of got into pageants.
and I
a little bit
love
of a
that.
story.
Because, you took this space where you did not feel comfortable to be yourself, and you felt like you were ostracized and really like beat up upon, quite literally, emotionally, mentally. And you were able to take that into a new space and say, I'm going to focus outside of myself because I know what that's like. Like, that amount of empathy is just so incredible. And I wanted to ask you about what made you center your platform on helping people find spaces. Explain to us a little bit about your platform, because I can't give as good of words to it as you can. So I want to hear from your mouth.
Yeah, I honestly have not talked about my platform, I guess CSI as it's called now, in so long. And so my CSI was called Project Strength, and I worked with a national organization called Sources of Strength, and became a national ambassador for them, went and got the training for it to implement it in schools. I learned about it through my high school, Timpanogos. They did a great job with Sources of Strength. And their focus was all about building healthy coping mechanisms. And so, backtrack, before I actually got to Project Strength, when I first started out, my platform was all about anti-bullying. And, I'm just a little 13, 14-year-old starting in pageants. And so it was just a very simple platform of anti-bullying. And I had this really interesting moment before I went and competed at Miss Utah's teen. I was going into schools and giving presentations to classes about anti-bullying, this and that. And I had this little boy who mentioned to me that he was being bullied, and he kind of talked about it in front of the class. And he was just asking, well, like, what can I do? And, I was I think I was 15 at the time. And it really hit me of like, well, I'm teaching people that, just don't bully, like, be kind.
Right.
You don't understand what other people are going through, but what can you do to either stop it, or what can you do to grow from it?
Right. If you're the person who's being bullied, you're like, I understand they should not be bullying me. Now what?
But yeah, exactly. Now what? And I found out a few months later that this little boy took his life. And at that moment, it really impacted me, because I was understanding that, yes, people are going to bully you your entire life, whether you're in elementary school, whether you're a grown adult in the workplace, whether within it's your own family, anything. People are always going to try and put you down, but it's what you do after that matters. Finding those healthy coping mechanisms. For me, that was getting really involved with service and in pageants, and finding good, healthy friends, building those relationships in my family, finding mentors.
Yes.
And that was just a really pivotal moment in my life that impacted me, in that we needed to start teaching people how to cope with these things. Because everyone's going to have a bad day.
Right.
But how do you overcome those bad days? That's what really matters.
And I love that. And having that experience, I cannot imagine how much that would affect you. To hear that someone that you were trying to help ended up taking their life, like, even just now, that was a gut punch to me. I cannot even imagine that in that moment. And like, that kind of motivation, that makes a girl work. So I'm really curious as to what those coping mechanisms are that you teach people about.
Yeah, so all Sources of Strength really focuses on this wheel, the strength wheel. And on it, there are family, mentors, positive friends, healthy activities, physical activities, spirituality. Sorry, it's really been service, and not physical health, but I don't remember the wording for it, but focusing on, going to the doctor or getting kind of that help. So like physical health, like physical activities, playing sports, those kinds of things. But then they also had a section about like taking care of like going to the doctor, those kinds of things.
I love that.
Figuring those things out. And so they have these different kinds of wheels. And so when I would go talk to schools, or when I'd go to city events, when I was Miss Orem, I would, have people just tell me, like, where do you go when you're having a bad day? Like, who are the kinds of people that you can rely on? What are the kinds of activities that you can do? And I think there's a lot of power in just speaking about things, because sometimes you just don't really think about it. Like, when I'm going through something, I'm not really thinking of, well, who can I turn to? Like, what can I start doing? Like,
you're just trying to survive.
You're just spiraling.
For sure.
And so just talking about that, or having them write it down, we'd make a list. And Source of Strength has a lot of really great resources and printouts that you can do for schools or communities, and just handing those out to people, having them write those things down. And I remember distinctly when I was doing an event at Timpanogos High School, and this is right before Miss Utah's teen competition, and I was doing something there, and we would just have people write down something, and we'd stick it on the wall and fill the whole wall in our like cafeteria area or something.
What are they writing down?
So they were writing down things like, "Oh, my friends," or "Mr. Thomas,"
Oh, like a source of strength
one
for them.
One of their
Okay, love
strengths
that.
for them.
Love that.
And it was just really powerful to see like the whole school come together and write those different kinds of things and just have that on the wall for the week.
Yeah.
And I think it also helps people see other people's ideas.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
I
and
love
so
that.
some things that like you would have never thought of, and other little things that I ended up doing when I was Miss Orem. I partnered with Orem City to kind of share different resources around the city that people could go to. And so I did one with the Orem Rec Center, and I made the funniest fitness videos. And I'm so glad some of those never got posted. Like, they were trying to teach me and also show off the new fitness facilities, teach me how to swim because I don't know how to swim.
Oh dear.
And like, this is like on video, and it's like me as Miss Orem, and there's
You
some
just drowning?
quality content of these videos that I did
I
with
feel like we need to resurface this. No pun intended. From you drowning.
And I went into police stations, talked to police officers,
Love
and how
that.
they can also be help, and how, you know, they have mentor programs. I went to a therapist, kind of talked to them about sources of strength in their lives, or how other people can find those.
Yeah.
Just different things like that, going around the city to show that there are these types of resources around Orem City and that they're accessible for everybody.
Well, I love that. And I love that you made this from a conceptual thing to bringing it out to people. Because when I was in elementary, junior high, I think it was Miss Utah that came and spoke to our school. And she talked about like mental health and like depression and like being aware of people. And I remember feeling so seen and like seeing her with that crown on her head saying like, hey, I struggle with depression too. I was like, oh my gosh, I can achieve great things as somebody with depression. Like as a, you know, when you're a little kid, 7th, 8th grade, and you're like having depression, you're like, this is the end of the world. Like, this is it for me. Like, I'm in my emo phase. I'm done. But watching her be so elegant and poised and polished was really impactful on me. And I'm sure that you have had that same impact on so many people with that crown on your head being like, I have been bullied. I have struggled with mental health. And I'm standing in front of you today as someone who is accomplished and confident. And that is just so impactful. I love that.
There is more to a title holder than just the sparkly crown, than just the scholarship money. I think you a very unique opportunity to serve almost as a role model for whether it's your city, your county, or your state or national level.
1000%.
And I fully believe that that sparkly hat, that crown, puts you into unique opportunities and puts you into doors that you wouldn't have been able to before.
100%.
And as a title holder, you need to use your platform and that opportunity that so many other people unfortunately don't get to spread your message, to be that light, to be that positive mentor for other people, because so many people will look up to you.
Yeah.
Like, I can name so many girls in the Miss America organization that I look up to and how incredible they are in their stories. And I really do think that they are just beacons of light in the community and the things that they do. And it's very genuine as well. Mm-hmm. And I think if you are someone who wants to compete in the Miss America organization, or Miss USA organization as well, I think take that opportunity to really make that positive impact in community, because you'll never know whose life you're going to change.
I love that. No, and I think that sometimes when you are in the midst of competing, it can be all too easy to think about the components of the competition rather than the outcome of the competition. Because once that crown is on your head, what's your game plan? And I was thinking about that in my last pageant, because I just competed in a pageant 2 days ago, Miss Greater Salt Lake. And, you know, as I'm standing there waiting for the announcement of who's going to win, I'm like, okay, within the next 30 seconds, I could be in a position of influence. You know, whether you like it or not, that crown on your head puts you in a place of influence, and people look up to you. There's like an air of authority around it. You know, there's no getting around that. And it made me ask myself, what's my game plan? Where am I scheduling events? What are the events? What am I saying? And I think that really sets apart queens, is when they do put in the effort to those events, and they do put in the effort to that service, and they really, really care. And it's more than just a crown to get to Miss Utah to compete for that title. I think you can really tell, and I really feel like the right girls always win. They always shine, they always glow, and they always serve the community so well.
100%. My mom and I've always said that the right girl is supposed to win. And whether that's for an impact that's going to happen in her life or someone that she can impact, there's always a reason why that girl won that specific title.
For sure.
Different judges, different night. Or, it's supposed to be, I believe there's some sort of divine choreography, whatever you believe in, that people will just say, oh, it's just a pageant and it's not that deep. But I'm like, no, it is, because you really have the microphone to be the spokesperson about something that you're passionate about, to go and help other people. And it's, it's supposed to work out for whoever it is, but that doesn't also mean that you're not worthy of winning it either, or this. It's just that girl is supposed to be placed in that moment at that time.
And what I took it as was a call to continue serving and like up my game even. I love going against such accomplished, and I say going against in like a light term, but such accomplished and service-oriented people, because it makes me up my game. It makes me look at that and be like, how else can I serve? Who else can I impact? And I just, I'm going to start working with a coach on Tuesday who reached out and was like, I would love to coach you. And we've been in talks. And something that she's really opened my eyes about is yes, you're a public figure. And like me being an influencer, I'm already like used to being a public figure. And I'm like, oh, this will just be so easy. I already have my branding of BS. I'm just going to kind of go into it. And she's like, it's more than your branding and it's more than you being an influencer. How are you serving? I want concrete ways, concrete statistics that you are fighting to move forward. So I want to know, like, what are those statistics and like, how did you come up with those concrete ways to serve?
I have to give a shout out to the Miss Orm organization. They have an events planner, Joanne Jeffs. And so when I first competed for Miss Orm's teen, I was the first attendant, and then I competed again the next year, first attendant again. But the Miss Orm organization does it something very unique, where you think all of out, because they understand how important that is. And so it's not just the queen serving, it's also the attendance. And so I think I learned a lot from Joanne on how to just put yourself in a place, how to network. And I'm like 14 years old learning this. And it was great. And learning how to create these events, create these contacts, and just really get myself out there. And so, a few years later, when I became Miss Utah's teen, I already had that tool belt and knew that, okay, this is up to me to now go and find these events for myself. And so that looked like the first thing that comes to my mind is I reached out to the head of the Nihon Matsuri, the Japanese festival in Salt Lake City. I reached out to Floyd Mori and I said, hi, my name's Claire. I'm Miss Utah's teen. I'm also Japanese American. Is there any way that I can come help out with this event? I would love to help out and post about it on my social media. And it was just as simple as that.
Yeah.
And it ended up being, he replied to me and he said, I would love to have you as a keynote speaker for this event to talk about your great grandma. And so then that ended up me being able to speak at this event, talk about my great grandma's incarceration at World War II. And I got to meet the Japanese consulate who came and visited, and was able to learn about the Japanese American Citizen League, which I'm now very involved in as a national board member. And it just shows you like how you just reaching out to someone, because everyone's always looking for volunteers and everyone's always looking for people to come and help. And so just go for it. Just ask, write that little email, and you never know what's going to come from that.
100%. And I love that doesn't necessarily have to do specifically with your CSI. There is no limit to how you can serve, especially when you're like a public figure. There is no limit. It doesn't have to be condensed to that one niche. I love that you found your other interests and said, I'm really passionate about this. I would love to help out and serve. And especially in that community, your presence, I'm sure, is so impactful. That's just really, I think I love that, because it is the spirit of service that you are
service
essentially.
Is always service.
Yes.
Right? And service can be as simple as just going and visiting your neighbor and talking to them, listening to their stories. I've really been learning the importance of oral histories lately and telling our stories, and that can be service, just listening to someone's, helping your neighbor out. Or I love that you mentioned that it's not always just about how can you serve in your CSI, but how can you serve in other ways too. as Miss Utah's teen, I got involved with Utah Food Bank, doing donations, working with other local title holders to get donations in our communities so that I could help bring service event opportunities to other title holders. And then working with the Utah Food Bank, and also working just with my high school, just seeing how I could help out there. And I think you'll find so much joy in just serving in any capacity that you can, because not only are you helping other people's lives, but you're also helping your own.
Yeah. It's invigorating because you're not sitting at home thinking, you are out and about. And I bet it makes you feel very like accomplished. You're like, I'm collecting donations, I'm showing up, I'm speaking on board, like that. It makes you feel accomplished. It gives you something to get out of the house for. It gives you something to be a little busy bee for. And knowing that that is impacting other people, it's just adds on top of each other. It's just plus, plus, plus. So that's really cool. And I want to know, how did you get into your internship? Tell me about that. I'm so interested.
So I'm a recent graduate at the University of Utah. I got my degree in political science, and at the University of Utah, they have the Hinckley Institute, which is this incredible institute that sets up internship opportunities for all students. So you don't just have to be a political science major to get set up with an internship.
Love that.
They do focus mainly on political science internships or in that realm. And so they do ones in DC, local ones, international ones.
Right.
So through them, I always knew that I wanted to intern during the Utah legislative session. I want to be a politician. I want to be a lawyer. And so I was like, hey, well, this is like a no-brainer. I'm going to do this internship.
For sure.
And funny story, this internship with the Attorney General actually came from Pageant.
Really?
So when I was Miss Utah's teen, I went to an event with, at the time, Miss Utah, Jessie Craig. We got invited to help at the Golden Spike 150th celebration. So random. Why we got invited, I don't know. And we made this like whole trek to Park City. Like, it was a 2-day thing. We slept at someone's house in Park City. And while we were there, we met the Utah Attorney General.
Yeah.
And at the time it was Sean Reyes, and met him, and he was just like, oh my gosh, like, you girls are so incredible. I want to invite you back to my office, you know, to really get to know you guys, learn about what service things you guys are doing in the community and how I can help out.
Wow.
So fast forward a little bit. Now, you know, that was kind of the end of Jessie Craig's reign. So now it's Dejana Talbot, who is my other miss. And we get invited to go to the Utah Attorney General's office. And I was talking to them, and I had mentioned that I was only 16. And they said, oh my gosh, we have a Teen Titans program where you can be on the Attorney General's like youth board. And you can help with Safe UT app. And so we helped kind of design and test some of the things on the Safe UT app. We did a lot of like trainings with police officers, worked on like little videos and stuff with them, and just little things like that. That
is really cool.
Or the Attorney General's like initiatives he's working on. And so I did that for 2 years in high school, and I just loved working in that office. I fell in love with it. I said, I want to be the Attorney General one day. And you know, I had a really great relationship with Sean Reyes. And so then I saw the opportunity for this legislative internship that I could intern with the Attorney General in his office.
That would be incredible.
And so I was like, sign me up. I want to do that. And it was just the most incredible experience of my life. I loved being on the Hill, watching the bills get passed and how the legislative process works. I highly recommend everyone get involved with state politics because they really impact your lives. And to follow and just take a day up on the Hill during the legislative session, it really is incredible. And I love that internship. It really solidified me wanting to go to law school. I made really great friends, and I just learned so much being able to do that.
But
it's all thanks to Pageants. So
honestly, Pageants do give you such incredible opportunities. And it's like there's a whole different world that I think people aren't really aware of sometimes. Like, there is a world in which you could be working with the Attorney General. There's a world in which you could be the board of service organizations. There's a world in which you can impact so many people. And I think a lot of us are stuck in a mental box of like, what are my options here? Go to work, go home, work out, go to bed. Like, what else are my options? And I think that having these conversations is so important because a lot of people don't realize it. Even I'm learning so much. I'm like, oh my gosh, there are so many more opportunities and so many more options out there than just the basic, what we think, oh, we just need to get straight into a career. But what else can we do with our time? We can do pageants. We can serve. We can get out there because these are such cool, impactful things that help not only yourself, but so many people around you. And like, what a cool way to live your life. I think that's so incredible. And I love that.
Yeah, I really think that pageants are such a stepping stone or a launch pad. I feel like they say that during the talent portion. It's like it's a launch pad to so many great careers and talent and industries. If you ever gone to a Miss America organization pageant, you will hear that phrase. And so
It's true.
it is very true.
It's so true.
And I know that there's a former Miss Utah's teen, her name's Tiara, because she's just such an incredible dancer. Like she ended up going to Juilliard and dancing there.
Oh my gosh.
And, it was through the Miss America organization that really helped her get out there and helped her, I want to say it helped her get scouted as well. Don't quote me on that, but it just gave her more opportunities to perform, which I think ended up helping her get scouted.
For sure.
And it's little things like that, but you would just never think to be part of pageants, right? There's such a negative stereotype around pageants and pageant girls. I've been told so many times, like, oh, I wouldn't date you because you're a pageant girl. Or like,
Please.
yeah, or I wouldn't date, or I'm trying to set up my friends and they're like, well, she's a pageant girl. It's not really my type. I'm like, oh, your type's not a smart, driven, talented woman.
Accomplished, service-oriented, smart, intelligent, good with time management, like, flow.
Yeah.
That's a wife.
And I just had the craziest conversation with someone, and he was just asking me, like, oh, what hobbies do you do, whatever. And I had mentioned, like, oh, well, I used to do pageants, really passionate about that, and passionate about the pageant community. And he said, well, that's dumb. He's like, why would you ever do that? Pageants are dumb. And I said, why? I was like, tell me why. He's like, well, I don't want to get in that argument with you. Like, you're just not even going to change your mind on it. And so I just like listed all of these things of why pageants are so great and the opportunities they have for women. And he's like, whatever, it's a lost cause, like this conversation. Like, didn't even want to like try and change his mind on it.
Like, tell me you've only ever seen Miss Congeniality and that's all you know about pageants without telling me.
Exactly. And pageants are so relevant today in the way that they help women. They set up careers for them. They give them confidence skills, speaking skills, interview skills, how to even put together a resume.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, there's so many other factors that go into pageants, but unfortunately, just so many people don't see that. And they don't want to try and see that. Like, they're just so narrow-minded on what pageants are, but they're so incredible for young women to get involved in and to give you other opportunities in your life that you may have never thought about before.
For sure. This is a path I never saw myself on. And I'm like, imagine me not doing this. Like, I genuinely cannot. This is one of my favorite eras I've ever lived. Because let's be honest, it's embarrassing to try sometimes. It is so embarrassing to put yourself out there and be like, what? I'm going to go on stage. I'm going to talk on stage. I'm going to perform a talent. I'm going to walk. I'm going to walk again. I'm going to do an opening number. All for people to sit there and judge me. And then I'm going to go into an interview for 10 minutes and let 6 strangers judge me. And then I'm going to post about it on social media. And people are going to be like, what in the world are you doing? And the whole time you have to be so confident. And the reward of being confident is impact. It's influence. It's teaching people that you can do anything you want. And it's living a fun, gorgeous, vibrant life. Like the consequence of trying is living a vibrant life. And I think a lot of people want that vibrant life, but are so scared to look stupid. And that's not possible. You can't have both.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't to say like competing in a pageant isn't easy or whatever. Like, it is really terrifying. But I think it's very rewarding as well.
For sure.
Because regardless if you walk away with a crown or not, you have gained so many valuable skills and friends that is something that is priceless.
For sure. And you have to be willing to get up there and try to get those benefits. Because I was a victim of that. I had my little sister and I almost did a pageant in 2020. I was doing Miss PG and then everything got shut down because of COVID. But that same pageant director and my little sister have been encouraging me, like, do a pageant, just get out there and do a little pageant. And to me, it was so daunting. I was like, I'm not just going to I don't know anything about that world. I don't know how it goes. I'm not a pageant girl. I'm not in that community. Like, I'm not just going to go do a pageant. But now stepping into it, I have never met so many women that I look up to.
Oh, for sure.
Unbelievable.
Incredible. And I will always praise the teen program. I feel like I have a bias towards that. And I just remember competing at Miss America's Teen and meeting some of the most incredible teenagers
Right.
ever. Like, I'm giving a shout out because she's incredible. Her name's Hannah Adams. She was at the time Miss Florida's teen, but now she's competing in the Miss Alabama organization. And her CSI focuses on childhood cancer. And she has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for childhood cancer and has passed legislation for it, Days of Hope, to like recognize childhood cancer. And she is someone who is so incredible. And she was doing this since she was like 14 or 13.
That's incredible.
And this other girl, Taylor Parsons, she was Miss Tennessee's Outstanding Teen. And she was setting up blood drives all across the state of Tennessee.
Holy
And I'm
cow.
like, you're a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And these women and these teenagers are so incredible. And they want to serve, and they make you feel inspired to go out and serve as well.
Yes. It's like hearing about things like this makes you think, oh my gosh, I could be playing so much bigger in my life. What am I doing? Like, I could be out there doing blood drives. I could be out there passing legislation. Seeing other girls, especially teenagers, doing this stuff makes you think, oh my gosh, how else have I been limiting myself? Like, what else is possible for me that I just have not even considered? Because this stuff, and I say this for the audience, is these things happen because you make them happen, because you try, because you put effort, not because, and these girls are incredible and they are amazing, but not because they are built any different than the rest of us. It's because they're the ones out there doing it.
Yes, you have to make the active choice
Yes.
to go out and serve your community, to go out and make differences in the world.
Yes, for sure. And as we're having this conversation, I'm kind of like thinking about my CSI, BS it, and how I can make that more concrete. Because I was, talking to that girl, and she's like, we need you to think more service, more concrete. How is your initiative impacting the community other than you just being a public figure? And I mean, hearing these things is so inspiring to me. And I'm like, how can I put this into a concrete form of inspiring people and giving them opportunities to serve, opportunities to be in higher education, opportunities to really expand their lives beyond what they think and have been taught is normal and possible.
No, I love that. And what a great opportunity. I'm almost a little jealous because I do miss pageants and competing. But
She's married now. She can't
yes.
compete.
But you know what? An awesome thing to watch you and just watch anyone find this within themselves and like find this light and fire to want to go out and serve and want to create these opportunities for other people and share your message. And it's just so fun to watch you just light up in this new joy that you found, this new era of your life.
It is so much fun. I'm loving it. And you really have been an inspiration for that, because I saw how like poised you've been. And honestly, I was like, oh, so I'm in the same league as her because I dated the same guy. No, but you've been so poised and just so elegant and so gorgeous up on that stage. And I was like, I love that for her, but I could never. Like, holy cow, she's so. And now I'm like, oh, that actually is possible.
It's possible for anyone. Back to like the stereotyping of pageants is anyone can compete.
Yeah.
There is no one right look. There's no one right dress, one right talent, right? Like anyone can compete. You are worthy of competing and worthy of sharing your message. And the more that you even just have the opportunity to answer an offstage question about your message, that automatically is getting shared to an audience.
Yes.
And I just encourage anyone who wants to put themselves out there or has a message to share to go out and compete.
And I want to talk a little bit more about your core story, about, what makes Claire Claire. And you can really take this any direction you want, but I kind of want to hear more about that time where you were being bullied. Like, what were your internal thoughts? What were your thoughts like after you tried to take your life? Like, I'm really digging deep here. And if you're not comfortable sharing, that's okay. But I really want to hear what that bottom was like versus, rising to the top.
Well, to be honest, I've always been someone who's never really deemed herself worthy enough of things. I do believe I am my worst critic. And not in like a positive, like do better way, but like genuinely, I really put myself down over little things. And it was really hard in junior high because, nobody liked me. nobody liked me at school. I had a few friends, but it just never felt, because I was just so insecure, it never felt real to me, some of those friendships. But looking back, they were really great friends. I also was bullied in my church young women's group as well, and on my soccer team. I didn't really just feel like there was anywhere for me to go. And so, when you're that low in your life, and that, taking my life kind of just felt like the only solution at that point, because it just didn't really feel like anyone wanted me. And, after that experience, I still felt that.
Yeah.
Like, nothing honestly had changed after that. I just felt so lost, made bad decisions. And it wasn't until I found good mentorship through the Miss America organization and through service that a lot of those things and thoughts started to kind of shift. I wouldn't say they completely went away until, I was in college, but at least I found something that made me feel better about myself.
Yeah.
And, I love being able to go to service events and be able to just meet little girls and put my crown on their head. And seeing how happy they were just made me automatically happy. And I just wanted to almost drown myself in service. Like, that's all I wanted to do, was just find new ways that I could go out and serve people, because then I would just maybe feel a little bit better about myself. Just through talking to other people and being able to share my story and seeing how that impacted so many others, it made me realize that everything happens for a reason. And that, yeah, it sucked. Like, I wouldn't wish that for anyone to go through. But I'm grateful that I went through it, because I hope that I've helped someone along the way. And if that just meant helping one person by sharing my story, then it was all worth it.
Yes. And was there any part of you specifically that you felt like people didn't get along with, or that you felt like people judged? And is that now, I'm interested if like that is now something you embrace more.
I don't know. To be honest, I had the ugliest eyebrows, like Sharpied those bad boys on. And that got a lot of hate in junior high. But I don't really know. I was very involved. I was, a teacher's pet, to be fair. I wish I knew. And there's actually a lot of times I wish I could reach out to some of those people and just ask. But I don't know. My mom was the mom who would say, like, they're just jealous, it's just coming from that. But it always just felt like there was something more, or something just wrong with me. So I don't know. I guess I don't really have an answer to that. But I guess now, as I'm going into law school, like, I still struggle with a lot of social anxiety. I have a hard time with public speaking. I had a really bad concussion in 8th grade. I lost my memory. I didn't know how to formulate sentences. And so public speaking's always been really scary. And pageants were a really great way for me to kind of work on that.
Yeah.
And so that was like something that I was always really nervous about, was because in junior high, like, people would kind of like say things about that, that I wouldn't really know how to talk. And so now it's like I'm stepping into this new chapter of my life of going to law school, and I just want to fully embrace it, because I don't think I'm going to be everybody's cup of tea. And I know I might be some people, I might make some friends, but if not, it's okay, because I'm making this decision for me, because it's something that I want to do. And nobody's going to stop me from that. Whereas I think before, because of other people's thoughts and feelings about me, it stopped me from doing a lot of things or just being my best self.
Yeah.
But now I think I've just learned that it's okay. Like, I don't have to be everyone's favorite person. I can just be myself, but also still enjoy the things for me. Like, not let anyone else ruin that.
And you just continue to impress me, because not only are you going to law school, which is in itself something that I find so daunting and so impressive, but you also have come back from square zero in 8th grade, not being able to form sentences or use your full brain capacity like most of us were able to. That is just adds to how incredible you are. And the reason I asked that question is because I've noticed that a lot of times high achievers do not always have the best social life. It's really interesting. And I felt the same way growing up, as I was bullied all through elementary, junior high, high school. And I could be way off base here, but sometimes I wasn't the most socially aware because I was so honed in on achieving everything I wanted. And sometimes it rubbed people the wrong way, and it came off I came off weird, and I came off strange, and I came off annoying because I was just so full of life and I just wanted everything ever. And I was a little bit bossy and hard headed. And to me, I was like, what is wrong with me? Because this is just who I am. I'm not trying to be anyone. I'm not trying to be anything. I just am. And I wonder if that resonates with you.
Honestly, it really does. And the more that you're talking about it, I'm like, okay, yeah, if you ask my family, I'm a little bossy. And I, was very, getting really good grades in high school was very important to me, and, working really hard with that. And so I'm sure I came across as like just a very odd person, and like very stern or strict, or, I always follow by the rules of stuff. Like I never want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't like go and do stuff with my friends because like I was like always so nervous about that. So I'm like, I'm probably just such a like stuck up like little high school person, but I don't really think that's like my fault or your fault or anyone who's a high achiever's fault, right? Like I think you're just being you, and you don't intend for any of that to negatively impact anyone else. You're not trying to put anyone else down. It's just who you are as a person. And I think it's okay, right? Like it's okay to just like be your strong spearheading self.
Yes.
And to want those
for
things.
Sure.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
And to like listeners of this podcast, most people who listen to this want something greater for their life and are working towards that. And to you, I say it's normal to feel a little outcast sometimes. I've always felt like an outsider, and I'm sure you can relate with that. Like I've always felt like an outsider of whatever group I'm in for whatever reason. And it's something I've always been so anxious about. Like I've always had so much like social anxiety, and I've been like, why can't I just fit in? Why can't I just get along with them? And as a dreamer, I think it's so normal to feel like that. And especially hearing someone like you who is so well accomplished and so poised and so confident say that you struggle with those things as well makes me worry about it less. Makes me be like, okay, so like all those times when I was like a little 15-year-old who was people had a hard time with, I don't need to be so hard on her because there was actually nothing wrong with her.
Yeah, and I find it very interesting, bringing up like I still feel like an outcast and things. And, for example, right, I'm part of a nonprofit organization for Japanese Americans, and I've always felt like, well, I'm not Japanese enough. Like I don't really look like I'm Japanese, or I'm in a very unique opportunity of being married and amongst a lot of peers who are not married, and I'm like, well, like it's also really weird because I'm the only married person here. And I just never really quite feel like I fit in at all times, but I'm still learning and trying to just be okay and comfortable with that. And I think it's okay to like not to still struggle with it sometimes because it is hard. But I think that growth and looking back at who I was when I was 14 and going through all of those things, like I'm so proud of her, like that she stayed and that she wanted to work on those things to get better. And that's okay just to have that continuous growth.
I keep tearing up whenever you talk about it because it's so real. And like it's especially hard when you are looking back on that little girl and being like, well, what could she have done better? When that's a burden that a 14-year-old should never carry. A 14-year-old should never get to the point where they feel like they need to take their life because no one is enjoying their presence and they have to fight so hard just to be accepted and tolerated. And I feel that in my soul so much. And like, we're both over here tearing up because that's so, so real. And it just makes the work that you do just that more important and just that more impactful.
You're so sweet.
I didn't expect to cry on the spot. Yeah, I didn't. I just feel like so seen being with you. I feel like I really see myself in you, and that is just the best feeling.
And, and to kind of tie it all back to what we were talking about before about pageants and stuff, like I'm so thankful to have found other people who felt the same way. And it's so important to find those people and to connect with them and to just know that what you're doing is okay, and you don't have to be so hard on yourself. And like, who was I at 14 being so hard on myself? Like, gosh dang it. Like,
Yeah.
like, come on,
Yeah.
I needed to give myself some grace. And, I think we can all do that, is just
Yeah.
give ourselves more grace.
And at the same time, that anxiety and that like being so aware of yourself and always like being like, I can be better, it's gotten you to where you are today. And it's so easy to kind of villainize that and be like, well, I was so hard on myself. And yet somehow you have transmuted that to being your greatest superpower. And now here you are. And I think that's beautiful. That's incredible. You are incredible. You are seriously just a girl after my own heart. And I honestly, I'm trying to think of anything else I want to ask or talk about, but I feel like we really just put it all out there. Is there anything else on your mind or on your heart that you want to make sure the audience knows?
Oh, wow.
No pressure.
I think, if you take anything away from today, this podcast, I think it's a few things, actually. Okay. To love yourself and to give yourself grace on things. And especially if you're wanting to compete in pageants, definitely give yourself a lot of grace. Things are not going to go the way that you want. And you might just be so hard on yourself. I have so many just stories of things not going well backstage. And I'm sure so many people can relate. And you're just taking all of that to heart. But give yourself grace. Like, it's okay. We're all human. And to just love yourself through that process as well. My other advice is to also just go for it. Don't be afraid to reach out to an organization that you want to partner with, to volunteer. Don't be afraid to start competing in your first pageant or to get involved with whatever you want to get involved in. Don't let that fear hold you back, or don't let the voices of other people put you down to restrict you from trying or doing these great things. And I would say the last thing is to just have fun and enjoy the experience. I think there were times where I was very stressed out especially when I was Miss Orem. I was at school at University of Utah, and I had events at least once a week. That was my goal, was to have an event every week, sometimes twice a week. And so I was always driving down to Orem, which became awful. I hate that drive.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the worst drive. And it just, it became kind of like a job, but like in a bad way. Like not like a good job.
Right.
Like there was a point in my life where I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm so ready to be done.
Yeah. That
Like this is
real.
just so tiring and exhausting with school and all of these other things. And I forgot that I was just supposed to have fun and enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
I love service, and all of a sudden service was like awful to me, and I
Right.
didn't want to go anymore.
Yeah.
And I was just having a rough time. And so I took a little break, and I realized that, I'm doing this because I love it, not because I have to, but because I want to, and I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy meeting people and who I am when I'm out serving and how I feel after. And it's just like a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
And fun, unique events and things like that. And
sometimes you have to take that step back to find the joy in it again.
Yeah.
So it's not
okay to
so
take
mandatory.
A little break and a step back to see those things. And just remember, you did this for a reason, and it doesn't have to be so serious and so like draining on you.
And I love that. That's perfect. Those are the perfect words to leave us with. You are such an incredible girl to talk with. I feel so honored to have you on the podcast, and I feel so excited for everybody who is listening to this podcast right now that they get all of this insight. And I hope there's pageant girlies out there listening to this, getting some really good info. And even if you're not a pageant girly, there is so much we can take from this on just like upping our lives and like going for more things and trying more things. So I just want to say a big thank you for having you on
I
here.
want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. I mentioned I have not spoken about my CSI or any of these things in so long since being married. And it just feels good to kind of talk about it again, because as I'm speaking, I'm like reminding myself about these important things and also these great things that happened in my life, and just like, wow, like I am proud of myself for that. And so thank you for giving me this opportunity to like let me relive some of that and think about it again.
Girl, I'm honored. Anytime, any freaking time. And good luck with your new journey.
Thank you.
You are going to love the island. I can't wait to live through you and just like watch your life blossom and bloom. And guys, she's gonna be the next president. So everybody keep your eyes out for our, hopefully not our first female president, but who knows at this point, you could be our first female president. But no, I'm so glad you came on here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And this has been BS with Bethany Simko. Really quick shout out. Make sure to follow her on Instagram. Also, our Instagram is BS with Bethany Simko. And I will see you when I see you.